During the national championship, we learned that Tua Tagovailoa, the Alabama quarterback, is simply not ready to enter the NFL. I know that's silly, but a lot of people say Tua NFL ready. Not true. In the NFL, you have two big things you got to deal with. The first one's a messy pocket. People all around you, guys hitting you almost every play. People, bodies all around, a messy pocket. The second thing you have to deal with consistently in the NFL is defenses disguising their coverage. It'll look one way before the snap. The ball snap, they do something totally different. Quarterbacks get tricked. A messy pocket and disguised coverages. That is a lot of what Clemson did against Alabama in the national championship. In fact, I would say that Clemson's defensive game plan was nearly flawless. It was fantastic. This is the first time Alabama's quarterback Tua has had to play a game under NFL conditions. Or maybe the Georgia game is another example. But Clemson has the best defensive line in football. In college football, they're fantastic. Clemson was giving Tua trouble all night long, kind of hitting him a lot, giving him constant pressure. They made him move around in the pocket. It was ugly. And the pressure got to Tua Tagovailoa. In the second half, instead of stepping into his throws, he was kind of fading away and leaning away from his passes, hurting his accuracy. And look, I understand it's hard to play in a messy pocket. I've played quarterback. I played in college. It's really difficult to play with guys that are trying to rip your head off and inches away from you. But it's something you got to do in the NFL. So one thing, Clemson's pressure got to Tua. He did not play well in a messy pocket. The other thing is that Clemson's defensive scheme was outstanding. It was fantastic. Tua threw 2 interceptions on plays where Clemson's defense disguised their coverage and baited Tua into throwing the ball. So before the snap, Clemson would line up in one coverage, and then when the ball was snapped, their guys would run to their different places and play a different coverage than it looked like. For example, on Tua's second interception, the corner sat in the flat. That's something, it's near the line of scrimmage, near the wide receiver. And there were 2 high safeties pre-snap, making it look like cover 2. Now, when the ball was snapped, the corner turned and ran to do a deep spot downfield, and the 2 safeties at the top of the screen, at 2 high safeties, adjusted their coverage, moving over. And so pre-snap, this looked like base cover 2. Post-snap, the actual coverage they ran was cloud coverage, which is a type of cover 3. The corner that bailed has a third of the field. The 2 safeties have the middle third and the right third of the field. So Tua ran the play assuming it was cover 2, and that's why he threw an interception. He threw the ball where he should have against cover 2, but another corner came out of where he didn't expect. Another corner came and picked off the pass deep downfield. So quarterbacks are taught that pre-snap you have to build a hypothesis. Based on the way defenders are lined up, it looks like X coverage. Looks like cover 1 or cover 2, whatever coverage you think it is pre-snap. But after the ball is snapped, post-snap, you have to confirm your belief. Oh yeah, the corner did sit in the flat, therefore it is cover 2. Tua didn't confirm his belief. He went on the assumption that what he saw pre-snap is what indeed they ran. That is why Clemson baited and how Clemson baited Tua into throwing 2 interceptions. Tua twice did not confirm his belief. Pre-snap, he read one coverage. Clemson didn't run the coverage they lined up in, and Tua threw interceptions because of it. It's ugly. It's a painful loss. I feel bad for Tua. He didn't read the field very well. In fact, he had a big sack, or he missed a big blitz later in the game where a blitzer came from the left. The running back released, was wide open. He didn't throw him the ball. These are painful lessons for Tua to learn. But I think he's going to also grow a lot as a quarterback from watching the Clemson game. When he goes back and watches the film from this game, it's going to make Tua a better quarterback. He's going to learn tremendously. I think it's really interesting. So, as a college football player, Tua is in a great spot. Look, he's going to win a lot of games. Alabama's a great spot for a quarterback. Win a bunch of games, have a ton of fun, play with really talented teammates. If you want to play in college football, have a great time, Alabama's the spot to be as a quarterback. But as a future NFL quarterback, Tua is going to have to overcome the decision he made in going to Alabama. He's not being challenged in like 90% of his games. Most of the time, Alabama's offensive line is so good and his receivers are so talented, he doesn't have to operate the way you would in an NFL game. He can sit back in the pocket with no pressure. He can throw the ball up to receivers who make incredible plays. Tua has not had to deal with some of the challenges that other quarterbacks do at other programs, which make him a little bit behind when it comes to NFL preparedness. Look, I believe Tua is going to continue to improve. But right now, based on the things we saw against Clemson, Tua didn't handle pressure very well. He faded away from throws. He didn't step into things. He didn't recognize blitzes very well. And Tua really got fooled multiple times by Clemson's coverage. Again, he didn't confirm the belief. Pre-snap, it looked like cover 2. Post-snap, you got to make sure it's actually cover 2. And twice, on both interceptions, Tua didn't do that. And so we've seen some holes now in Tua's game, which it's not a time to panic. But right now, Tua's not ready to enter the NFL. That's all that means. Doesn't mean he can't get better. Doesn't mean he won't. I think he will. And I think I'm honestly, as a fan of Tua, a guy who believes he's a great NFL quarterback down the road. I think his future lies in the NFL. I'm so glad Tua had this experience of losing to Clemson. This embarrassing loss, this painful loss with some really ugly plays from Tua is actually going to be good for him because he's going to watch the film and learn from those mistakes and grow as a player. And so that's what I'm most excited to watch from Tua down the road is how does he learn from this game film? Does he start to recognize blitzes a little better? Does he understand when teams are trying to fool him with disguising coverages? That's what I want to see from Tua down the road. And I personally believe he's going to improve and grow as a quarterback. Oh, I hate doing this. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I really don't like self-promotion. It makes me feel like a used car salesman. But I got to do it. So if you don't know, this is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It's my favorite thing in the world. And you can subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can find it on YouTube. You can find the full entire hour-long podcast on YouTube. You can also find shorter breakout clips like the one you just watched. Please do me a favor. If you like anything I had to say, maybe you hate me and you're mad about something, share this podcast with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to do. Help me grow by telling your friends about this show.